Freddie in the shade. Freddie walked down Main Street in a suburb of Minneapolis wearing black wraparound sunglasses. Lately, he never took them off, indoors or outdoors. He hoped that the dark shades would protect him from anything else that might disrupt his life. His mom had died before he could remember, so it had been Freddie and Dad for years, just the two of them against the world, and they'd done fine. Then Dad met Maggie. She was nice enough, but things changed last year after Dad and Maggie got married. A few months later, Maggie announced she was going to have a baby, and Dad began to talk about moving away from San Diego. A month after school ended, Dad took a job in Minneapolis. "It will be great," Dad had said. "It means a house instead of an apartment with a yard and a basketball hoop. It means Maggie will be close to her family, and you'll have a brother or sister." Freddie had known the truth. It meant that the summer before 6th grade, he would have to leave the only neighborhood he'd ever known and all his friends. It meant that on the first day of school, he'd be the new kid, the different kid. He had no interest in Minneapolis or anyone who lived there. The glasses went on and stayed on. He stopped in front of a clothing store and considered the black hooded sweatshirt in the window. A customer came out of the shop next door, and the smell of cinnamon and buttercream frosting followed. Freddie turned, looked into the window of Snickerdoodle's bakery. A red-headed man wearing a blue apron emerged through a swinging door and handed a large pink box to a young mother. A toddler clutched at her skirt. As the mother approached the door, trying to manage the cake and the skirt tugger, Freddie jumped to open it for her. "Thank you. Could I bother you to open my door too?" She nodded toward a minivan parked nearby. Freddie darted to slide open the door, took the box from her, and placed it on the seat. When he turned back toward the baker smiled and signaled for him to come inside. As Freddie stood in front of the counter, the man said, "I'm Mr. Fieldstone. Eclair or cream puff as payment for helping my customer?" "Eclair, I guess. Thanks," said Freddie. Mr. Fieldstone handed him a chocolate eclair. Freddie lifted it out of its white paper cradle and bit into the sweet goodness. As he savored the gooey pastry, he glanced down at a card next to the cash register. "Help wanted." Mr. Fieldstone nodded toward the sign. "You interested?" "I'm looking for someone every afternoon. It's mostly cleanup." For weeks, Freddie had been hibernating in his room, trying to avoid Dad and Maggie. They tried to include him in every boring preparation for the baby. School didn't start for another 6 weeks. He nodded to Mr. Fieldstone, and by the time he left the bakery, he had a part-time job and a bag of eclairs for dessert. The next day, Mr. Fieldstone gave Freddie an apron and led him into the kitchen. A girl stood over a large bowl stirring cookie dough. Not even the smudges of flour on her face could hide her freckles. "Freddie, this is my daughter, Amy," said Mr. Fieldstone. He handed Freddie a broom. "I've got to work the counter. You can start by sweeping the kitchen. Amy will tell you the rest of your duties." As Freddie swept, Amy said, "Chocolate chips or raisins?" "What?" "In the cookie dough," she said. Just chocolate chips." "Oh, you're the type who doesn't like things too complicated, right?" Freddie smirked. "I guess. Where do you live?" "And what grade are you in?" "Maple Street," said Freddie. "Going into 6th. "Me too," said Amy. "I mean about the 6th grade. We live in Alder, a few streets away. These cookies are for my cousin. I can't bake for the customers yet, but maybe someday. Do you have any brothers or sisters? Especially sisters?" "Sorry," said Freddie. "It's just me and a baby on the way." "I've always wanted a sister," she said. "All I've got is a bunch of boy cousins on both sides of the family. Babies are a lot of work. I know because I babysit. But they're really cute. And they love you. I mean, they really love you. You're lucky." "Yeah, I'm lucky, all right," Freddie muttered. "I can't tell if you're kidding or not with those glasses on," said Amy. "Precisely," said Freddie. He wiped down the baker's racks, cleaned the counters, and folded a tower of pink boxes. Later, as he walked home, he thought about what Amy had said. He knew that babies required a lot of attention, but it hadn't occurred to him that he'd be getting any back in return. Every afternoon, Amy had more questions. "Where did you live before?" "Why did you come here?" "Why don't you want a brother or sister?" "Why do you wear sunglasses all the time?" There was something wistful and sincere about Amy's questions, and there was a peculiar feeling of safety in the warm kitchen. The smell of bread baking and the curtains of steam on the windows made it seem like anything Freddie said there would be protected. He found himself telling Amy, bit by bit, the answers to her questions, even that the sunglasses made him feel as if nothing more could upset his life. "Stuff changes all the time," she said. "How are sunglasses going to stop it? And like I said before, you're lucky. I mean, your whole family is together all the time." Her voice trailed off. At the end of the week, as Freddie left Snickerdoodles, Amy hurried after him. "Hey, wait up! I'm going to the movies tonight with my cousins. Want to come?" Freddie knew he wouldn't be able to see a movie while wearing his sunglasses, but he could sneak them off after the lights dimmed and put them back on before the lights came up. He said yes. At the movies, Amy introduced him to her cousins, Mark and Kyle. Mark would be in 6th grade too. Afterward, they asked him if he wanted to play on their basketball team at the park on Saturdays. Freddie wavered for a moment, then remembered that he had a strap for his sunglasses that would keep them secure while he played. He agreed. Freddie was surprised at how much he looked forward to his job at the bakery. He loved opening the door each afternoon and smelling the ginger snaps and snickerdoodles. He loved cleaning the stainless steel and glass counter that held the muffins and pastries. He liked how Mr. Fieldstone treated his customers as if they were his best friends. Dad and Maggie began to shop at the bakery every few days, and Mr. Fieldstone always slipped a little something extra in their order, a cream puff or a lemon tart. "We have to fatten up Freddie's little brother or sister," he always said. A few days before school started, Freddie arrived in the bakery and found Amy in the kitchen. "These are my going-away cookies," she said. "I'm leaving tomorrow." Freddie frowned. "Leaving? For where?" "For my mom's. See, I live with my mom during the school year and my dad during the summer and some holidays. I'll be back in December for 2 weeks, then a week in spring, and then next summer." Puzzled, Freddie asked, "Why didn't you mention it before?" "You never asked, and besides, when I'm here, I like to pretend that I don't ever have to leave. It's, hard going back and forth, so I just don't talk about it." She stared into the cookie dough. Freddie thought back over the past weeks. She was right. He never once asked her a question about her life or her mother. It had always been Amy being interested in him. She was right about something else, too. The sunglasses hadn't stopped things from changing. Now she was leaving. He took off the sunglasses and set them on the counter. "So, what's it like in your town? What's your mom like?" Amy studied his eyes and smiled. "More boy cousins, and my mom is really nice. You'd like her. On the one hand, I'm lucky because I have lots of people who love me, but it's like I'm always starting over. When I come here for the summer, everybody already has their friends from school. And when I go back to my mom's, everyone has their new friends from summer. But I'm sort of used to it." She shrugged and gave him a half smile. "Chocolate chips or raisins?" She pointed to the dough and the bowl. "Both," said Freddie. "More complicated that way." They both laughed. "So, since you're the expert on starting over," said Freddie, "any advice for the first day of school?" Amy nodded. "Don't wear sunglasses inside, or some 8th graders might put you in a trash can." The first day of school wasn't bad at all. Freddie and Mark were in the same class, and they played basketball together almost every day at recess. Sometimes Freddie still wore his sunglasses, but only on sunny days, like the bright day that December when Amy came back for the holidays, and she and Freddie built a snowman for his new baby sister.